Welcome. It is time for another episode of the Horror Syndicate Horror Movie Massacre. Welcome, everybody. This is Ray or Razor, and this is the Horror Syndicate. So, welcome back. Uh, Lots been going on lately. We are talking about Hellraiser Bloodline tonight, but hey, we're back 2 weeks in a row. How about that? And last week we talked about Hellraiser 3. Had a jolly good time. Seth and my combined score was a 76, if you remember correctly. So we'll see what Bloodline offers, and we'll get into talking about the movie itself, the things we like, the things we don't like, the things that work, the things that don't work, and of course our slash scores, which is I know is what everybody's looking forward to. So without further ado, here's Seth, and take it away.
We have such sights to show you.
I'm not going to leave you here by yourself. Anyway, so how's it going, man?
Uh, It's going. How are you?
I've got news, but we'll wait till after the show for that. Um, so on Saturday, if anybody's interested, free comic book day. Unparalleled Comics will probably have a free comic on our website, unparalleledcomics.com. Also, if you're in the St. Louis area, we will be at 4 different places. Go check out Unparalleled Comics on Facebook for further details. I made a dumb video today. So, and Seth, by the way, is writing one of our comics. All right. So, Hellraiser 3, we talked about last week, and we kind of determined this one was the Doug Bradley movie. So now we move into the fourth movie, which is kind of the end of four the first four movies. That it's like one kind of semi cohesive story, but not really. With four, we get an origin and really an ending to the entire franchise. By the way, like the video for us, please. Hit the like button. It's not that hard to do. Like. But yeah, it's the beginning of the lament configuration all the way to I don't remember how many years in the future it is, but way in the future. Um, I like this one. I think it's a bit underrated. It does have its problems, as with every Hellraiser movie for the most part. But I think there's some really cool stuff in this one. Um, Seth, can you please explain what this movie's about?
Yeah. Well, this is about basically the bloodline of the original toy maker Philippe Lemerchant, and going from the creation of the lament configuration all the way through to its end, just like you mentioned, and um, it yeah, and basically it involves three different. It's set at three different time periods, all involving different generations of the family, and basically uh, how they kind of come to cross paths with not only the Cenobites but also a much older demon named Angelique, and uh, yeah, basically in the very beginning, Philippe witnesses what his box does, and then he attempts to come up with a way to undo it. Um, but he is killed before he can do it, and then it goes on to another generation of the family who is kind of continuing on that work, all leading into uh, the final generation of the family as they actually complete the work.
Yeah, and I like one of the things I do like about this one is it we go through 3 different time periods. Of course, back in France, right? Or what
Yep.
was it? 1500s, 14 Dark Ages kind of deal in France to
I think
at
it's up to
present.
1700s.
Huh?
I think it's supposed to be the 1700s.
So, okay, so it was dark times. It was dark outside that night. But we also go into the present, which is I guess 1996, and then go into the future a bit. And Reynolds keeps messaging me. I'm sorry. Um, it's gonna be about baseball team hats. Anyway, yeah, and that's one of the things I like about this movie. I think it's one of its strong points, and I don't think it takes anything away from because you first of all it begins in the future, and then you go all the way back to the past, and it's I have a lot of fun with this, and of course the movie does pick up after the events of the third movie because the building
Hmm.
that the building designer, um, it's kind of based off the limit configuration in so many ways, which I think is really cool. It looked cooler at the end of three, the building, in my opinion, but we'll make do with what we got in this one. It's still a cool building, still a cool idea. Kim Myers is in this one. I'm always going to mention that for the crush I've had forever. Sean Sheridan, of course, is sharing his thoughts with us. Uh, well, I mean, this series didn't go to space and die. There's seven more movies after this one, so
I, I feel like the space thing is sort of like overblown because it's like it really just bookends the movie, and it's
mhm.
probably a maximum of maybe 20 minutes total
I
screen
don't even think
time.
it's that long.
Right. And you know, I definitely want to get into this a little bit later, but I recently reread the original screenplay. And so this is the ultimate studio interference movie, in my opinion, or one of them. But originally this film was supposed to be linear. It was supposed to just start in the 1700s with Philippe, and then jump to the 90s with John, and then end in the future with Paul. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
this isn't see like when I understand the whole space complaint thing because when horror movies do go to space, like established franchises, they do tend to suck. Like Leprechaun 4 sucks ass. I fucking hate that movie. Uh, Jason X has its fun moments, but it's a terrible movie. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like those are the entire films are set in the space set in those, whereas this you get it in the very very beginning within like first 5 minutes, and then it goes into the past, and then it comes back to it in the end for like the final maybe 10 or 15 minutes tops. um, so I don't think this one's really as comparable
No,
to
this really
those
isn't
because
Pinhead in space. I mean, most of the movie takes
it's not.
place in the '90s anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
I think people calling it Pinhead in space or some shit like that is extremely unfair because most
Mhm.
of the runtime is spent in 1996 or whatever. It's just two scenes, and really how bad are those scenes? Not bad at all, in my opinion. It just shows that it's deep into the future and what could be an outcome of the limit configuration. It just happens to be in space. Uh, it could have been the exact same thing, but you know, in a building somewhere. It's not that I don't think it's that integral to the plot of the story that it's in space. I mean, do you?
Well, I think it's originally supposed to have a purpose, uh, with the whole Elysium configuration, um, being a space station of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
being something that big um, it's big enough for the light to work to do its thing. Um, so it's I think the space part does have it does have a purpose within the story, within the actual with basically what Paul's or what the whole Lemergent family was kind of like leading to, something they couldn't achieve before because everything was just too small. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody's got their opinion. I wouldn't want to get kicked in the nuts. I'd rather watch Jason X. Or would it say this is not Jason X? I would rather get kicked in the balls repeatedly than watch Jason X. Yeah, I'd rather not get kicked in the balls ever again. That is the worst fucking pain I was ever in. And I hope you have never been kicked in the nuts, because if you ever are, you'd rather watch Jason X. Trust me. I know from experience, twice. So, but anyway, actually three times I got a baseball to the nuts when when I didn't have a cup on, and I got hit right square in the nuts. That taught me. So anyway, I'd still rather watch Jason X than get hit in the nuts with anything. So anyway, yeah, I think this one gets that bad reputation. I think there's some movies, and this is one of them, that do get overlooked because of one little thing, and it's not even the main thing. Um, we go back to, first of all, Doug Bradley's performance in this is fantastic, and we get one of the better characters that we've seen in any of the movies in Angelique.
Oh
Her
yeah.
character is throughout the entire movie fantastic. She's so great. And
Yeah.
then a couple new, of course, the transformation scenes weren't great, but a couple new Cenobites here and there. But I don't know. I think this movie is really underrated. So let me ask you, Seth. This is the way we do this show. What worked for you in this one?
Well, I feel like after part three, I know that you're a bigger fan of part three than I am.
Yeah.
Um, and as we discussed last week, part three was, them trying to sort of uh, take the franchise into the horror icon um, uh, craze. I guess they're trying to kind of mold it to be like other horror franchises. And this one, I felt, even though I can get the complaint where it's a little over the place because there is the constant time jumps.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like it's a little bit more focused and it's intentional. Like in a way, it serves as sort of an anthology that makes up one big story, and it explores elements of the lore and the history that we never got before. Um, and I think it's not great. There's stuff in it that's not great, but I love Angelique. I think she's my second favorite uh, character in the franchise behind Julia.
Mm.
She's such a. I think Angelique is just such a cool character, and especially with knowing the way that Angelique was sort of originally meant to be. Um, it's just a really fun character, but uh, this one, it's just one that I enjoy watching. Again, it's got its flaws, but and I think it's got good effects too. I mean, I like the whole thing with the twins.
Hmm.
I think that looks really cool. But
After the makeup looks great. I think the
yeah,
makeup is top notch in this one.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a fun movie in my opinion. It's not on the level of like one and two, but I think
No.
I think I prefer. I prefer Inferno more than this one, but I do enjoy this quite a bit.
All right. Um, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. I just got the alert just to warn you.
Okay.
God damn it. It's the tis the season for the Midwest. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's go as far as long as we can. Yeah, there's a lot about this movie that first of all, I think Pinhead has some of the best lines in the entire series in this movie. There's some great him and when him and Angelique are on the screen together, it's pure gold. You
yeah.
know, um, I think. What do you think of the score in this one overall?
I think the score's good. You know, they it has elements of Christopher Young's
Mhm.
themes, but obviously it's a different composer who does his own themes. But I think the score is pretty consistent with the first four, and
Agreed.
that's one of the things I really enjoy about the first four. I mean, even the third one, which I'm not
That's what makes them
overly
feel kind of cohesive. Besides the fact
exactly.
that they leave pieces in, at the end of each movie going into the next one. But yeah, even the score. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, because I mean, even as a defender of the the later directed video sequels,
Hmm.
I can't help but think like the biggest problem with all those is they didn't incorporate the Christopher Young themes at
No.
all. And then when the 2022 film did it, like fucking we, got a boner. Um,
Me too.
not literally.
Oh my. Do not lie to our audience.
All right, maybe a little bit. No, but like it's like the one piece that makes Hellraiser Hellraiser for me,
Hmm.
and I feel like it's a shame that they didn't try to use it for any of the direct-to-video sequels. I think, I mean, even Inferno probably would be a lot better if they had some of those themes.
Yeah, because
Um,
Inferno feels completely displaced compared to the other ones, in my opinion. Well, it's just like I mean, take take the classic score out of any horror franchise. I mean, look at Elm Street with Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead is one of those movies that is just perfection, but it almost has none of the Elm Street theme.
yeah.
I'm joking.
Well,
It's not perfection, but it only has like one part when she walks past the newspaper stand of the theme. Oh man, stop weather. Anyway, um, but yeah, no, I was curious about the score. That's one thing that you are always big on is score,
yeah,
and it's a big deal, and especially in horror movies. Well, in a lot of movies anyway, you get a bad
yeah,
score, it could fuck up the whole movie.
right.
And I think the score, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's very consistent. It's not exactly, and it's not as good as the score from the first two, or especially the first. So which one do you think has a better score, the first or the second one?
I I think I prefer, see, part of me prefers the second one because it feels a little bit like bigger, it's a little bit more operatic. But
Yeah.
then, when I do listen to it, because I listen to scores a lot, right? And like especially when I'm in the Hellraiser mood, like if I'm at work, I'll put on the score. There's like certain elements in the score for part two that are a little weird. There's like some sort of like clown music thing happening.
Mm.
Um, but I think overall I prefer two because it's more,
Oh, I know
it's
what
a
you're
much,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah. But it's much bigger. But I mean, the first one is great too. It's
Mhm.
very, it's a very unique theme, and I love how like a very similar Hellraiser theme appeared in Spider-Man 2 during Doctor Octopus's uh, experiment when it first goes wrong. I thought that was really cool how they use that.
Yeah. Yeah. I you know what? They're playing Spider-Man 2 at the theater by me this weekend.
You lucky fuck.
I'm not lucky because I'm not going, but it's very tempted. They're playing a lot of old movies lately. I did I tell you I had to miss out on going to the Mummy because I had a family get together.
Yeah, I missed it too. A friend that was gonna go with me had to cancel.
I am brokenhearted. So, but I'll make up for it because Father's Day weekend they're showing Raiders of the Lost Ark. So
Sweet.
can't beat that. But anyway, let's. I hate to do this because, but there looks like there's a big ass storm coming. I want to talk about some of the issues because I know that with this one, especially after reading did you read the whole script or
Yeah.
okay? So let's talk. I want to hear about that. But before we go into that, I want you to tell me some of the things that you don't like before you get into some of the things that change with the script because that's something I'm really interested in hearing. You didn't do a script breakdown for Hellraiser Bloodline, did you? On
I do not.
maybe one day.
I should.
Yeah, and then we'll get into the scores after we do that. So let's talk about some of the things that don't work for you. I honestly have very little to complain about this movie because I'm not one of those people who I didn't know anything about the making of it. I've only heard really from you about all
Hmm.
the studio interference and how the script was different. I honestly wouldn't have known any better. So like I've never really had too many complaints about this one. Actors aren't great, but Adam Scott's in this movie, so
Yeah. Yeah. I think my like really like I don't really have a lot to complain about with this one. I mean, again, you touched on the acting, right? The guy that plays Philippe, John, and Paul, not the greatest actor.
yeah.
And then some of the people in the space side of it are a little bit of overacting.
That was the
Maybe,
worst acting I think in the whole movie was the space part.
yeah. Um, but other than that, I really don't have a lot to complain about with this one.
Yeah, I mean it's not on the level of the original movie and the second movie.
Right.
I do think in ways it's better than the third movie, but there's something about the third movie that brings me back more than coming back to Bloodline. So and
Well, yeah,
and
that was the first one you saw, right? So,
yeah, and plus
yeah.
my slash score somehow ended up lower than the third movie.
Oh
Oops,
shit.
I guess. I don't think by too much. Let me look at my scores real fast. Yeah, actually, it was quite the drop off. Well, not too bad. I may be exaggerating a little bit. But like, can you go over some of the things that are like big differences between the original script and what the studio shot out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so basically, as I mentioned earlier, right, the original story, what Peter Atkins wrote, what Clive Barker was on board with, what the original director Kevin Yeager, the special effects guy, uh, was
Famous for
signed up.
making Freddy have the witch look.
Right, he perfected the Freddy makeup.
Yeah.
He worked on Child's Play, um, but he was originally attached as director. So originally it was all linear, right? Started in the past, then going to the present, then ending in the future. Well, as they shot a lot of it, the studio executives at Miramax, the Weinstein Bears, we'll call them, um, they saw some footage, like a rough cut of it or whatever, of what they did so far, and they did not like the fact that Pinhead uh, is not in it uh, pretty much right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
In the and so basically what happened was they wanted Pinhead in it sooner because Pinhead actually doesn't, or the Hell Priest as he should be called, doesn't really appear until maybe like halfway through the script, the original script. And for a reason, I'll get into that. But anyway, so they wanted Pinhead in it sooner, or the Hell Priest in it sooner. So they demanded reshoots, a rewrite of the script, basically pissing off Kevin Yeager to the point where he quit before he was done shooting it. And so they had to bring in Joe Chappelle, the director of Halloween 6, to finish it. Of course, because Chappelle didn't uh, do the required amount of reshoots, he couldn't get his name on the credits, of course. So and Yeager didn't want anything to do with it, so that's why it's credited as Alan Smithy as director.
Mm.
Um, and it pissed off Clive Barker to the point this is why he left the franchise. Peter Atkins also left the franchise. He wrote them since part 2. He wrote 2, 3, and then this one. So okay, now getting into the script itself. Again, it starts with Philippe making the box. He brings it to the aristocrat guy, who is in the book. He's actually a magician. Okay, and so basically, we don't have that whole thing where they take in like this peasant woman and then Skinner and all that. Angelique is already there. You know, she's already there, and it turns out that the magician had previously already summoned her, and because he summoned her, he has control over her. But in the meantime, she put a plan in herself to have the lament configuration made. So she kind of manipulates events. So she's actually the one who basically, in a roundabout way, hires the merchant to make the box. And so he delivers the box to them. And in this scene, there's actually 8 people at like
Mm-hmm.
this table. They're all gamblers, and Angelique has the box and she passes it around, or she hands it to someone saying they'll go play a game, and they each have to open up a section of it. And as to give them incentive, as each of them kind of completes their task, she kind of starts to remove her clothes until the box actually opens up, and um, it kind of like unleashes hell, and um, they all get taken in. Now, here's the thing: is that there's still no Cenobites, right? So we actually get to see, if it was the original script here, we would actually see earlier versions of demons. So basically, Angelique is from the very past of hell, and she actually has like these demons who are like clowns, and so like it's much more of like a musin type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually a line from Pinhead that kind of addresses that, like when they do finally meet. But basically, uh, Philippe sees everything happens from outside, and then he goes to his friend to tell him about it. His friend is a philosopher. His friend tells him to build something that can undo it. As he's working on that, Angelique visits him at his home, and she kind of like seduces him a little bit, kind of hypnotizes him to a point where he actually rips up his designs for the thing to undo it, and she promises him like wealth. And so uh, she gets him to go to the house there, and there he learns about how the magician summoned Angelique, and how he was able to control her, but because he stands in Hell's way, he can't anymore. And uh, uh, Philippe tries to run away. Philippe's wife shows up, and it's revealed that she's pregnant. And so, uh, because Philippe is not going to abide by Angelique and make more,
Mm-hmm.
Angelique determines that Philippe and his bloodline must be killed off because they could potentially undo everything. But before she can get to the wife, the magician actually jumps in last minute, pulls her into the pentagram, and sends her back to hell. Sends them both to hell. And then Jock, the apprentice, played by Adam Scott, actually does the chant again, summoning her back so he can control her. And at this point, Philippe's wife is on a boat to America. So there's a little differences in the opening there, right? Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, there's just like I'm processing a lot of information. Um,
Yeah, you are.
but
There's a lot going on.
yeah, but so basically, the biggest thing is Angelique is already there. There's nothing to do with the peasant, and actually, the form that she has is like sort of like her sort of like projecting a human form. There's actually a point a little bit later on where she kind of loses a little bit of control during a sexual moment, and
Mm-hmm.
her true form kind of shows back up. But um,
What like do they explain like what her true form really looked like?
she's got many true forms. So like I mean, even in the scene with the gamblers and when the box opens up and like they're all getting kind of pulled into hell, like she takes off her clothes fully and she's got like faces and mouths and stuff like that, and just like just later on they just talk about like her own face, so like her skin is bluer, her eyes are pure black, she has like really sharp teeth, stuff like that.
Jeez.
So yeah. So Angelique is a little bit different, and not to mention too. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but Angelique and the Hell Priest are very confrontational to each other in the original script. They don't like each other at all. So basically, because Jock brought her back and summoned her, she spent like 230 something years as his slave. So she's been out of hell for that long. And so she's not aware of the Cenobites and the Order of the Gash. So when she does go to the building in the 90s and takes the box from part three out of the pillar and makes that one guy open it, and Pinhead appears, or the Hell Priest appears, she's surprised that she didn't see her clown. She was expecting her original posse,
Her
and he
insane
tells her
clown
that
posse.
things are. He tells her that things have been different since her time, and things are a lot less amusing. Everything's more orderly than before, and basically, Pinhead, or the Hell Priest, wants John the Merchant to because he sees inside the building and there's like the big box hanging in there.
Mm, yeah.
So he wants John to make it work so it can just be a bigger version of the lament configuration,
Mm.
and so it can bring mass souls, right, and spread his thing wherever. Meanwhile, Angelique, working against Pinhead, actually tries to convince John to go ahead with the Elysium configuration to kind of as like a fuck you to the Hell Priest. But it doesn't work out, and eventually, just like in the movie, uh, uh, what's her name? The chick from Elm Street 2,
Kim Myers.
Kim Myers, that character, same thing. She opens the box and sends Angelique and the Hell Priest back to hell. And then we jump to the future. A few different things in the future. um, Paul is not alone on the ship or on the space station. He actually is with someone named Corin Cotton, who I'm assuming it's not a coincidence. I think it's supposed to be
Related to
right.
Cotton Weary from Scream 3. No.
100% Cotton. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, Kirsty and her father and all that.
yeah, so it's basically because it's not like directly outright said, but it's obvious, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a descendant of Lemerchant and a descendant of Kirsty working together in space. And the character, the cop character Rimmer, is in it, but she doesn't have that same interaction with Paul, and she actually gets killed. And then the script originally ends with Paul actually dies. Corin gets out. She gets in a shuttle and gets free, and Paul dies in a confrontation with the Hell Priest. And then there's the whole thing with the lights and the explosion. And then it's supposed to do some sort of like montage of time and space and all that, and then it goes back to the past of when Philippe completes his box for the first time, kind of bookending the film that way. I think there's a couple things I'm probably missing, but I think the overall core is the same, but they they shifted things around. They rewrote a lot of things.
Sounds like there's some really cool stuff that was left out, though.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the thing is like with that. Okay, so they didn't have the Cenobites in the first half of the script, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the charm of the original script is the fact that we see it from an origin point of view, where it's Angelique, a princess from hell, a demon from the ancient times, is summoned and is controlled by a magician, and then she kind of, using her own little kind of smarts, um, gets the lament configuration made. She's, and then we see different factions of hell with the with the clown posse, I guess, and yeah, I think there's a lot of like really good stories set up and a lot of good mythology set up in the original script, but the Weinstein Bears, they did not
They
they
didn't
did
know
not
any better, honestly. I mean, I don't know how they got so far, but like, I want to see alternate versions, I guess, or alternate appearances for Angelique. I mean, I love the way she looks in the movie,
yeah,
even when she's human. But like, it sounds like they were creatively castrated in this movie. Which
totally,
really, I mean, it happens constantly throughout Hollywood, but
yeah.
yeah, it sucks.
And the thing is like in this script, which you can buy, it's paperback. It's just the original script. There is a foreword from Peter Atkins where he kind of talked about how, unfortunately, there can never be a director's cut because Kevin Yeager quit before they shot, quite a bit, and so
Oh, so it
there's a
wasn't
lot of
even
stuff.
shot. I didn't know that.
Well, he shot a lot of it, right? He shot the majority of it, but there was probably a good percentage that wasn't shot yet for this original version.
Jeez. Talk about a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
Well, I
totally.
mean, honestly, though, I am happy with what we have, but it just sounds like there's a lot of cool shit that could have happened, and it's just Cenobite trap is what it is. With these movies, they get like you don't see Pinhead probably. Man, when do you see him first in Inferno? It takes a while to get to him. It's same thing with the first movie. I mean, you see him for like a split second, and like barely even see him in the first movie, and then like about midway through, you start seeing him more into the movies. And I think there's like 3 and 4 fall into this studio Cenobite trap where we got to see what's on the cover. I mean, I guess it's
Exactly.
fair because that's what sells tickets. So
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think the Weinstein Bears started taking over the series with Part Three. Uh,
I think that's right.
they were involved. I know that Part Three was distributed by Paramount, but Miramax Dimension, they had a hand in it.
Hmm. What a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame. Uh, now, is the failure? This was the last theatrical film, right?
Yes.
So was I guess the failure of this is what led to straight to video. Ugh, sorry, straight to video.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and like the Hellraiser movies were never really big, money grossers anyway. Um, but
No,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, but I think because of the studio interference and the sort of the cobbled together version, and all the production, especially word gets out that your director has his name removed. I mean, you put Alan Smithy as the director. I mean, that's kind of doom and gloom. And I don't know when it was released. I don't know if it was dumped in one of the dumping months or whatever. But um, yeah, basically it didn't do well enough for them. And then after this, they started taking other scripts and making them Hellraiser films on the cheap to secure the rights.
Yeah. To the end of history. Well, at least to 2022. Uh, although it's funny, 2022, I think that movie deserved a theatrical release, and it still went direct streaming, which is basically direct to video. You know, oddly, it didn't get a video release, a Blu-ray release. So,
Yeah, I
right,
know.
it's so strange the way it worked out. But I have a copy on Blu-ray.
Yep, so do I.
Oh, you did get it? Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like kind of hiding, like, so I couldn't remember if you got it or not.
Oh, I got it as soon as I found out that guy was
What was
doing
it
that.
that you didn't get then? Because there's something I got. We talked about it. I thought I was like, oh, I had to get that. And what was? It doesn't matter. Anyway, you ready to move on to some slash scores? By the way, this is my Chromebook. I don't. I'm just holding it because I want. I. But look at the stickers.
Nice.
And then that. And then that. That's it. Anyway, let's do slash scores.
Okay.
So, starting off with Seth, your slash score is 79%.
Yeah, because um this is one I like quite a bit. And again, I will admit that there's things that aren't great about it as far as some of the acting, some of the dialogue, um, and I guess maybe my knowledge of the behind the scenes, it might have affected my score for the writing overall.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think 79% is pretty fair for this one. Um, it's I don't know. I like the mythology of it. I like the way it explores um, the origins. I like that it is as I mentioned earlier on, it's basically an anthology film with all the stories connected to make one big story. And I thought that was pretty unique. I think for me personally, I felt it was a huge improvement over part three. It's not a perfect film, but it's definitely one that I do enjoy. And the space stuff never bothered me. I think, to be honest with you, thinking about it, if they did, if the film was as originally intended, as far as being linear, where it just ends in space, I don't think we would really hear the whole pinhead in space thing. You know what I mean? Because I feel like by having the film start off in space, it kind of like it gives people the edge to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it's not, again, as we mentioned before, it's not a huge part of uh, of the film itself. But I just thought, that's just my thought on that. But yeah, 79%. I enjoy this one quite a bit. I'm a huge Hellraiser fan, by the way, and um, I even enjoy a lot of the direct-to-video ones. So I am a Hellraiser enthusiast slash apologist. So
Slash horror.
slash whore,
Yeah.
a total fucking whore.
um. Yeah. I think I'm trying. I was looking at your scores, and last week. So yeah, they're not far off. I know 1 and 2 are much higher, but that's
Mhm.
not too far off. I'm curious to see what Inferno gets.
Yeah.
So, and I was surprised with my score after I tabulated. It's 70%. Um, I don't know. I was giving it like, and I think 70 is a decent score overall.
Oh,
You
of
know,
course. Yeah.
well, I think about. I don't use the tomato meter as a, because they've got rotten, fresh, certified fresh, all that bullshit.
Mhm.
I'm not looking at it like that, but like I think 70% in school was a D or a D plus or some shit like that. I think that's fair. It's not great, but then like
Yeah.
the worst part was, have you ever done a ranking and you go back through and you're like, well, maybe this was a little bit better, maybe this was a little better. So I started to do that. I was like, you know what, I can't do that. That's like fixing the score. You know what I'm saying? So I just stuck with the. I think the lowest category was acting for me, or like, so I honestly, the main character, well, the main actor or whatever, yeah, I'm not big on it. I wasn't big on him as a human.
Yeah.
Um, but I think he was a big problem. But like the effects are great. I mean, look at Angelique's costume. This like here, let me go back to your score because that's the picture. Well, I mean, she looks amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And I totally agree with you about the actor that played Philly, John, and Paul. But like
Mhm.
the actress that plays Angelique, I think she gives a really good performance.
There's their budget right there. They had to pay her and Doug Bradley.
Yeah.
So, but and I do like their scenes together. I do, even though it would have been fun to see a more contentious relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
Uh, our followers gave this one a 64%. So we're going to see a downward trajectory with the Hellraiser movies. I'm almost certain on
Oh,
our 5-star ranking rating system. We may see a slight uptick for 5 or Inferno, but that remains to be seen because I'm going to have to repost those because I don't think I did all the Hellraiser movies for the 5-star. I'll have to check. Which is
yeah.
harder now thanks to Meta AI search bullshit thing. Have you tried to search shit on Facebook lately and you got to do that Meta AI bullshit?
Yeah. It's retarded.
Shit drives me crazy. It's like, let's keep making this worse for people. No, I
Yeah.
want to search for something. I don't need to fucking chat with an AI bot. Fuck out of
Yeah.
here.
I wish they
Um,
had like an option for like
you can turn
the
it off,
can
but
you?
it really doesn't turn it off. Yeah, because I did that.
Hmm.
Oh man. But anyway, so yeah, so I will make a bold prediction here and say Inferno will have a higher score based on our followers than Bloodline. I'm going to make a bold prediction here because I still have to post that one. I might do that tomorrow. Post the rest of the Hellraiser movies. I swear I did them, but I can't seem to locate them without
I
having
could
to
have
like
sworn you
go
did them
through
too.
our entire feed to do it. Next time I start this, I'm going to put them all in a fucking folder on Facebook. Like you know how you can have image folders.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Anyway, so Seth and I, again, Seth gives this one a 79%, and I can see why, but unfortunately, I made a 70. And I feel like a boob, which is okay because it's my favorite thing. So our scores between the two of us are a 75, and I think that's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah. For the twins, huh?
We're the twins, which is 1 point lower than Hellraiser 3, our combined score.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were like, oh, and then 15 or 16 points lower than Hellraiser 2. And I think Hellraiser, yeah, is 93%. So, yeah,
Just want to
I
show off
know.
here.
1 point different. I know that upsets you.
This is the sketch I did of Angelique. I don't know how well you can see it. I had a lot of fun drawing this.
That's actually pretty damn great, dude. I've seen it on. I think you have a scan of it or a
Yeah.
picture of it on Facebook, but it's better seeing the. I wish I could see the actual
Yeah.
image, but yeah, that looks pretty damn great, man. I like that you have the limit
Yeah.
configuration as the background. That look
Yeah.
that look good painted. Just saying.
Oh, I know. I know.
Do you paint or is it just amber?
What's that?
Do you paint at all or is it just amber that paints?
Yeah, I paint.
I
She
thought so.
actually, she she taught me quite a bit.
Did she
But
did
I
she,
don't
did
do
she
it.
school your ass?
Yeah,
I hope
but
so.
like, I don't paint as much as she does.
No, I
But
mean she's a real painter. I mean I painted like throughout high school and in my early 20s. I loved getting and I like to use a flat canvas, not a stretch canvas.
yeah,
And I used to love to just sit there and because I used acrylic paint also, and I used to like
mm,
really mix my colors on the you know what I'm saying, like,
yeah,
and I needed the first time I tried doing it on a stretch palette, ripped right through that son of a bitch because I was pressing down too hard. It's like,
yeah.
well, I guess I got to use the flat cardboard ones or whatever they're called. But sorry, it's a little detour off of. I haven't painted in a long time. I miss it. Helena has taken all of my paints. So anyway, yep. So Hellraiser, Bloodline. That's not Bloodline. That's Inferno or Hell on Earth. I like it. it's it's I man, it's was in your personal ranking. Where do you think you have it?
I think Bloodline is probably number 5 now because because one, two, um, Inferno, and then 2022. I think I have above it.
Hmm.
But with that said, I love Bloodline quite a bit. So
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't want to say anything to upset you, but I think Bloodline is probably the final good Hellraiser movie. So, well, no, I take that back because I really like the new one, the 2022 movie, quite a bit. So I can't say the final good one anymore, but I used to. Um, I know that you like Inferno quite a bit, so and there are things about Hellseeker I like, but I think it's mostly has to do with the very end, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but the end made me very happy when I saw the first level. I was like, oh my god, like I couldn't believe it. I was like that. I sat through that whole movie and I got that. You know what I'm saying? Like that was almost worth it. Uh,
it's, I mean, the whole. I wish the whole movie was kind of formed around that.
it left a lot to be desired. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
anyway, hold on. There's a second me. Okay, I can get rid of it now. So anyway, next week the reason this is why I was putting this up. Next week we are covering. Ooh, that's a really bad picture. Hellraiser Inferno, really low quality image. Holy shit! I guess I have to
Yeah.
make one. So I like this was already made. This was made for like a streaming app, and that's why I find these. I type in like Hellraiser 3 streaming. They didn't have one for Bloodline, so I had to make Bloodline, and it turned out okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I'm gonna have to make this because that looks awful.
Yeah.
Looks like I need glasses, which I do. I have glasses. So, anyway, next week we'll be doing Hellraiser Inferno. The storm has not hit yet. Otherwise, I'd have cut off a little bit ago because we've been having a lot of storms lately, man. It's like every other fucking day anymore we get a storm. Like, man, what was it? I can't remember. I think it was last Friday. I was at work and our goddamn parking lot nearly flooded. because it was raining so much and so hard. It's like, and I can hear the thunder rumbling. It's coming. I wish you could hear it. It actually sounds really cool. But anyway, so yeah. So actually, are we doubling up Hellseeker with Hellraiser Inferno? Um, because we talked about not doing that because we're getting closer to Evil Dead, and I'm kind of hyped about doing Evil Dead. Um,
Yeah, we can do that because I think we can get. Yeah, I think we can cover both movies in the hour time frame.
yeah,
Um,
and if we
of
go over a
Inferno.
little bit, no big deal, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I know, especially with you not being as big on Inferno. Um,
On either of them, like
yeah,
really,
yeah,
like the
sure.
next five movies are kind of not great. And I mean, you can add Judgment into that and make it say the next six movies aren't that great. So we could double up on a lot of these. Hellraiser 2022, even though we did a show, and I'll never forget that show because we wanted to say so much about it and we couldn't because we don't want to spoil it. Remember? So, but 2022, I definitely want to dig into, and I can't wait to watch that one again. I'm stoked about watching that again.
Yeah,
But
so we'll double up on Inferno and Hellseeker, and then
Deader
Deader and
and
Hellworld,
Hellworld, yeah,
and then Revelations and Judgment.
yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
With an emphasis on judgment over revelation.
We'll just
And
do a
then,
soft scores for Rev.
yeah,
I'll have a couple things to say about Revelations, but I'm not looking forward to
I'm gonna
rewatching it.
rewatch it because I've only watched it once. So, God
It,
be with me.
yeah, well, like like for me, like how I say that I'm a big defender and apologist for this
Sure.
franchise. Like, there's two films that I just don't like: Hellworld and Revelations. Um, so
So we've got okay. So May 8th is Inferno Hellseeker. 15th is Deader and Hellworld. The 22nd. So May 29th will be 2022. So we're talking June 5th. If we can stay on track, which we will. We're talking Hellraiser ranking show.
okay,
And then I guess starting in June 11th, 12th, sorry. I was looking right at it, but I wanted to say 11th. For June 11th, 12th, fuck, I did it again. For June 12th, what's wrong with me? For June 12th, we're going to start with the Evil Dead franchise. So we'll go into
I'm
Sam
stoked for
Raimi's
that too.
Evil Dead. What's that?
So I'm stoked for that too.
I am too. I fucking love them. I could gush about those movies all fucking day long.
Where are we gonna do what something about the show too?
Yeah, so we're gonna do the Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, Army of Darkness. Then we're gonna cover Ash versus the Evil Dead. Um, for one episode, we're not gonna do a bunch of it. We'll just kind of a little recap the show, talk about things we like.
Overall thoughts.
Yeah, and
Cool.
then we'll get into the 2013 movie, which is not a remake. It's my favorite Evil Dead movie. Ooh, handed my horror card. And then we'll talk about Evil Dead Rise, which is coming a year late, but still, like, I still fucking love Evil Dead Rise to this day. Like my interest level and enjoyment level of that movie is as high as it was when I first saw it because Evil Dead Rise was fucking awesome. I still think that. And then we'll do an Evil Dead ranking show. The ranking show will not include the show, but
Okay.
Seth, if you want to put together a list with ranking the seasons with the movies, feel free. But it won't be like our official, you know.
Well, actually, I started an article like a couple months ago
Mm-hmm.
where I was doing a ranking of
Mm-hmm.
everything Evil Dead. So I included all the movies plus all three seasons of the show, and then I did like a little sort of like um, honorable mention of Within the Woods attached to it. But
Mm-hmm. Which he
I gotta get
posted
that
on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page today.
right. Yep. because I've been kind of feeling the Evil Dead mood lately.
Me too,
But
man.
yeah,
It was because of that article you shared with the group, about the two directors. There's gonna be two Evil Dead movies. I was like,
yeah,
I'm ready. I'm fucking ready for some Evil Dead action.
yeah.
So
So hopefully I'll finish that. I'll get back on that ranking article,
yeah, I mean, you
and
got
hopefully,
until June to get it done, because that way we can have it going into the show. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. That's good. Yeah,
yeah,
good idea.
yeah, yeah. I'm ready for Evil Dead. Hellraisers. I've been enjoying talking about Hellraiser so far. I'm sorry that's taken so long. My job thing has been fucking me up for the last few months, but I'm getting on back on track. This is the first time we've done a show 2 weeks in a row in a while. So
Yeah,
actually, June we're also going to be back to doing discourse, I do believe.
yeah,
Is that right? I can't remember when Nate's show is done, and I don't
yeah.
know. I'm
I believe it
here
was. I
now.
believe it was. I
Hmm?
believe it was. I believe it was June.
I think
That
so. I think the first we talked about the first weekend back. We're going to talk about, and I really still want to talk about the Late Night with the Devil. I like that movie a lot,
yeah,
and I know that you liked it, but there's some issues, and it should be just a good show of us being able to talk about. And hopefully by that time we'll all be able to talk about some of the 2024 movies earlier than we do ever. Because we still haven't talked about all the 2023 movies we wanted to discuss. Like when you, not when, what is it called? When Evil Lurks
yeah.
or
When
something?
Evil.
Yeah, I'd like to do a show on that. Because we didn't get to. We talked about it in short during our ranking show, our annual ranking show. But
Mhm.
there's a couple, and even that one with the girl with the aliens, which I can't remember the name of it now, probably because I'm tired. But
No one will save you.
no one will save you. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, the end was mid, like, oh, But like,
I
I watched it again before we did our show at the beginning of the year for the ranking, and I'm like, God, this movie's actually pretty fucking awesome. So like, sometimes like it's like I mentioned, I was like, Nate's gonna love this movie, and I'm usually right, and I kind of rag on the movie a little bit. Then I go back and watch it, I'm like, fuck Nate, he's right. Like I hate that sometimes. I mean, I love Nate, and he is right a lot of times, but like, like sometimes I guess maybe it's the rebel in me, the rogue or whatever. But no, I watched it a second time. I really liked it. Thanksgiving's another one I'd like to discuss. Some from last year, so I'd like to discuss some of the new movies. We don't do that very often on Discourse, so I think that'd be kind of fun to pick, 9, 10, 20 movies that we didn't get to talk about that've come out in the last maybe since 2021. I'm gonna go through the list and just throw some shit at the wall, see what sticks with you guys. But definitely Late Night with the Devil is one I'm desperate to talk about because I love that movie. My favorite character, and I can't remember their names, was the guy who was the hypnotist. Like,
Oh yeah,
dude,
yeah,
he was such an asshole, and I loved it because he was there to like debunk the stuff. And then that
yeah,
whole scene with him hypnotizing the Andy Rooney character, basically, was fucking awesome and unexpected. So the guy with the worms. But I don't want to spoil anything.
yeah.
So yeah, good times. Anyway, uh, I'm starting to feel the horror vibes coming back. Finally, it's been a bad few months for me. But again, next week, Hellraiser Inferno and Hellseeker, and yeah, we'll be back next week. Seth, any final words about Hellraiser Bloodline? It's underrated. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw that at the wall. It's completely underrated.
And it's overhated.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, we should do a whole thing on the Facebook page. Overhated.
Yeah,
That pick out some movies that you think are overhated, and since you have the ability to post now, uh, write a little blurb or something about why you think it's overhated, and then we'll see what our people love talking about shit they hate. Just trust me, I posted something about Night of the Living Dead 1990 today, and you don't know why I posted that. because I was looking through my Facebook and my personal memories, and I guess I watched it like 4 years ago today, and so I just pulled the image from my Facebook page. 156 comments. It's like, okay. I put the 1990s Tom Savini directed Night of the Living Dead is so much better than I thought it would be. What are your thoughts on this remake? And people just love commenting on that shit. Oh, Drag Me to Hell did pretty well too. Is this the Fool Within the Woods?
What's up?
The Within the Woods you posted earlier. Is this the whole movie?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's a short movie. It's only like
Right.
I think like a half hour long.
Yeah, I know, but like I didn't know I didn't know that was on YouTube. To be completely honest.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I went to look for the link where I watched it before, and they're not there anymore. And so I found this one. So it's like watch it while you can, but just beware that the the picture quality is really really poor. But just being in the Evil Dead mode, I just was like, I should put something about that on the page, and see what people think. But
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
think any of the stuff that I've been posting has been doing particularly well.
Well, I will say, I will. Okay, there's a couple things I will tell you. Anything links or gifts Meta like doesn't, or Facebook doesn't. The algorithm gets fucked up on those. They don't like people sharing links and shit because of like crowdfunding and stuff like that. So it's harder to get like. It's harder to get engagement on links. I will tell you that. But
so I should do it. So I should do it with like say for like the example of Within the Woods. Be like, hey, what did you think of Sam Raimi's Within the Woods? Link in the comments below.
Don't even say link in the comments. I would just say, I would just put the link in the comment. I wouldn't say it because those like I've noticed with crowdfunding on Facebook, like our images on Parallel Comics do great, but if we post the fucking link for our Kickstarters or whatever, they just are dead on arrival. And if we post, so you'll see guys putting pictures up from their Kickstarter campaign, and then have like an arrow pointing down, and then having a link in the comments. Like Mike Lombardo, for instance, he's running that Indiegogo for his new movie, that format, and you'll see that he's got the link in the comments rather than in the. That's why a lot of our articles don't do great through Facebook, is because of that shit. Because Meta really cracks down on links because they're clicks. Just let it go, asshole. That's the thing with videos. Videos are the same way. Unless they get shared like widely, they don't do well. So today. Just saying, like when we first started going live back in 2017, we used to get a lot of random people watching, and now it's like live was also newer back then, but yeah, no, there's a lot of don't get discouraged by it. You'll get it. There's still shit that I posted up this goddamn thing, so you never know who's going to share what. Like fucking, what pushed us over 60,000 followers is I posted a bunch of horror documentaries, more brains. Anyway, it was the Never Sleep Again documentary. I posted the poster and said this is one of the best horror documentaries ever. And bam, it has like 2,000 shares. I didn't have any clue that would happen. Man, so
this is awesome.
Fucking weird how people do things. So that's why we need you to share our content and like all that good stuff. If you do that, it'll help this channel and this page grow. I mean, Jamie Lee. This is the house that Jamie Lee Curtis built, and her beautiful breasts. Do you remember that post I put up? It was her birthday or something like that. No, it was when Halloween Kills came out. I put up Jamie Lee Curtis has now been in a Halloween movie in 6 different decades, and it was a picture of her on the red carpet, and her tits were just kind of like popping, and it got shared like crazy. And I almost guarantee it was tits. And because I did another post a couple days later, and there was a picture of Jessica Biel from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and is looking sexy as fuck. Got shared like 2,000 times, you know, and it's. Should get that picture of Alexandra Daddario from Texas Chainsaw 3, where her shirt's open, you can see some side boob, and throw that up. You know, how did you grow the horror syndicate? By helping guys fix it, bro. No.
Hey, if it works.
Yeah, it does, man. But yeah, like seriously, links and shit. It's hard sometimes, especially crowdfunding. Look who it is. The writer creator of Ginormous from Umbrella Comics, Drew Rose. Drew, by the way, if you're watching, he's going to be taking over Dragonfly in issue number 5. So, good people. Anyway, we talked about a lot of shit that we probably should talk about offline. I just realized. All right. Anyway, Seth, anything else before we go before I ruin everybody else's thing?
Shit, Earl, that was Ted Hollister. You dumb son of a bitch. You said you saw Myers. Yeah, and also, Evil Dies Tonight.
Evil Dies Tonight. We'll see you next week.